David Hartful from Black Leadership Analysis, and I want to talk to you about my first experience at an ADOS meetup. So today I went to my first ADOS meetup in Washington, D.C. at a place called New Vegan, a black-owned restaurant that serves vegan food. And I had an amazing time and met some really amazing people there. So if some of you don't know what the ADOS movement is, it stands for the American Descendants of Slavery. And so it's a political movement that is chiefly working on a black agenda to get reparations to black Americans who descend from those that come from slavery. Now, in addition to being for reparations, is specifically for reparations for people that descend from American slavery. So black people that come from the Caribbean or African wouldn't be included in there. And they have more moderate leanings towards immigration policy. So they find themselves at opposition with right-wingers and left-wingers. And that's for understandable reasons. So the main promoters of the philosophy nationally are Antonio Moore from Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell from Breaking Brown. And I've been watching both those channels for over 2 years now. And I really love both channels, and I agree with a lot of the things they say. However, I'm also a Sanders Democrat. So I believe in social welfare programs, and I do believe that in 2020 we could get a progressive leader in. So I kind of went for informational purposes, try to understand the movement even better and what they're doing here in D.C. I was very impressed. The people there had a lot of information, probably because they watched Tone Talks and Antonio Moore's show. Both shows are very data heavy. So on top of being data heavy, they've also got a lot of their own data about their own local areas and how to be politically active in those local areas. We discussed a lot of really interesting stuff about home prices here in D.C. And I think the best part of it, though, was actually talking about how it feels to be ADOS in the DMV area. So Washington, D.C., and essentially the whole area was known kind of like as Chocolate City. It was a heavily black area with a lot of black influence and culture. And as the years have gone along, gentrification has happened, more whites have moved in, and more immigrants. And a lot of these immigrants have a lot of animosity towards the ADOS as a group. So a lot of people needed to vent about how they felt about immigrants and other non-white minorities coming into the spaces and then treating us poorly and treating us like we're second-class citizens, and it happens a lot. And I think that's the one thing I love about the ADOS movement, because it's based off American descendants of slavery. It's something I can directly relate to, and it really does speak to my actual struggle. I am African, of course, by DNA, but I've never been to Africa. I don't know much about African culture, and it'd be hard for me to even find out about this stuff. So, I mean, I really feel that the ADOS movement is something I can get along with more than other movements, like Pan-Africanism. So I'd love the ADOS movement for that. I also believe that black people do need to have their own black political agenda to focus on their own issues and problems that we're having in the world. I agree with that. It's the only thing I have more problems with is this idea that the social welfare programs and the wealth redistribution programs put up by progressive Democrats in the 2020 election aren't any good, and that we should possibly sit out of 2020 if we don't have a black agenda. I think a lot of the proposals that Sanders puts up are good, like Killer Mike said, and it could move the ball forward as far as race and dealing with racial issues. So that's all I have to say about that. But I do support the ADOS movement as a whole, and I want to know what I can do, stay involved with it, so I can know what I can do to help it out and move forward. So